Well, good Wednesday morning, Tri-State.
As you wake up, here's what you need to know to start your day. An EBSC educator and coach is at the center of an investigation involving the seduction of a high school student. A statement from the school corporation and the charges he's now facing.
ICE is going to continue to focus on raids against high-threat criminal aliens.
Agents with U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement are conducting removal operations in Vanderburgh County. What we're learning from local authorities this morning and how the Tri-State is reacting.
Another chance of strong storms today, lower overall risk than yesterday, but we'll talk about when the best possible window for storms will be into the afternoon coming up next.
Officials in Western Kentucky finalized a plan to improve the function of several major roadways, what the project hopes to accomplish when it comes to congestion and economic growth.
We have the most impactful stories in the Tri-State.
44 News this morning at 8 starts right now.
Live, local, late-breaking. This is 44 News This Morning.
And we are outside getting a live look at the Twin Bridges south towards Henderson this morning. We do have a traffic alert that if you are crossing over into Kentucky, you might expect some delays. We kind of have been seeing traffic backed up a little bit in the last hour and a half or so. This is because they are doing some repairs to a portion of the shoulder on the roadway there. You can actually see right underneath the southbound bridge there. It is starting to back up. So just give yourself plenty of time if you are crossing that this morning, as it could cause some lateness there. We do want to thank you for joining us this morning at 8. I'm Megan Garrett.
And I'm Tommy Mason. Earlier, we were fighting through some dense fog tri-state-wide that seems to have lifted just a bit. We are waiting for some showers, though. Griffin Hardy is standing by with a check of that forecast on this Wednesday.
All right, good morning to you, Tommy and Megan. We're off to a cooler start compared to yesterday. We had a really warm start yesterday with temperatures in the mid-70s. Now we are in the lower 60s right now in Evansville, low to mid-60s across most of western Kentucky, and mid to upper 50s towards the northwest into eastern Illinois in the mid and upper 50s. There, the temperature change, a big contrast compared to yesterday, down anywhere from, roughly speaking, around 10 to 15 degrees compared to this time yesterday. That's in part why we have some fog that's developed. Visibility at roughly 1.5 miles in Evansville, Clay, Marion, places like that. Just be mindful of that if you're driving around. The fog's not too thick, but there is definitely some of it out there early this morning. Starting to get some isolated showers develop into parts of western Kentucky. The chance for rain today is there, but overall the rain coverage will be much more isolated than yesterday. We've got this big cluster of storms that's coming up from Missouri. This will clip a couple of our eastern counties in Illinois, or excuse me, our western counties in eastern Illinois over the next couple of hours. Then a chance for storms rolls in this afternoon as more warm and unstable air comes up from the south. Just isolated hit-and-miss showers and storms, but still a chance they could turn severe. We'll talk about the rain coverage into the next couple of days coming up in just a few minutes.
And to stay weather aware of what's going on in the Tri-State, you can always follow us at WEVV.com or download our 44 News and 44 News weather app. I made that a little harder there, Megan. In today's top stories, late-breaking news. A North High School teacher and track coach is facing over a dozen charges, including child seduction.
According to court records, an arrest warrant has been issued for Noah McBride. Now, authorities say a victim talked to Holly's house, stating she was 15 when McBride contacted her on social media. The victim stated sexual interactions started around a year later, and he would record her. 44 News reached out to EBSC officials, and they responded with this statement, and quote, "We have been informed by authorities and employees facing multiple felony charges. We will take the appropriate action once law enforcement has finished their investigation."
And a suspect who was shot multiple times after stealing a police cruiser in Ward County will be in court today. Nina DeViles was arrested after fleeing from Indiana into Kentucky and then crashing that stolen cruiser. DeViles was already out on bond for attempted murder and now faces new charges in both states. DeViles will be in a Davis County courtroom coming up later this hour at 8:45.
Our other big story this morning, agents with U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, spent the day conducting operations in the Evansville and Vanderburgh County area. Local authorities say they've received several inquiries and calls regarding ICE activities.
44 News reporter Ben Laufer has that story.
Authorities tell 44 News that ICE is conducting enforcement and removal operations in the Evansville and Vanderburgh County area on Tuesday. And although authorities were informed about the enforcement operations, local authorities are not involved in any way. Evansville Police and Vanderburgh County Sheriffs released a joint statement on Tuesday, reiterating that while they support ICE's lawful mission, neither agency assisted in the operations and do not participate in general immigration enforcement. No details were provided about where the enforcements would be taking place or how many people or families were involved. However, viewers sent these photos to 44 News showing enforcement operations near Bakey and Pollock Avenue on Tuesday. Officials tell 44 News that 12 inmates at the Vanderburgh County Jail have been taken into custody by ICE so far this year. That's compared to 4 inmates from the jail in all of 2024. White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller says the government will continue to use its full weight to identify and deport those who are not here legally.
ICE is going to continue to focus on raids against high-threat criminal aliens. We're going to use the entire force and power of the federal government to get them all home. But we are not going to ask taxpayers to subsidize the presence of a single illegal alien in this country.
If you know someone or would like to check the status of someone you suspect to be in ICE custody, you can visit our website, wevv.com, for a link to their online detainee locator. Reporting in Evansville, Ben Laufer, 44 News.
Thank you, Ben. And 44 News dug deeper this morning. We know at least 16 people are being detained in the Hopkins County Jail in connection to the ICE raid.
And following the report about Tuesday's ICE operation, the Vanderburgh County Sheriff's Office released another statement. This is regarding the appropriate role of law enforcement when it comes to illegal immigration. To clarify, the Sheriff's Office says the Sheriff's authority to arrest an illegal immigrant is limited by both federal and state law in Indiana. They say immigration enforcement is primarily a federal responsibility handled by agencies like ICE. A deputy can arrest an undocumented immigrant if that person is suspected of or has committed a state or local crime just like any other person. The arrest is based on the criminal offense, not immigration status alone.
And groups gathered near the Civic Center in protest following ICE operations in the River City. As we just mentioned, the agency was conducting the enforcement and removal operations Tuesday in Vanderburgh County. Within hours after hearing the news, several people organized a protest. The group Evansville Resistance, which described itself as a nonprofit focused on progressive activism, assisted in the rally.
A lot of hands all coming together and saying, we need to do something. What should we do? How can we act? Let's act now.
Organizers say they're working on planning more protests later this week. And authorities in Illinois are trying to figure out what caused a driver to slam into an after-school program building just south of the state's capital Monday.
The center was packed with children when state police say a car left a road, crossed a field, and plowed through the building. 3 young girls and an 18-year-old were killed. Now, 6 other children were taken to the hospital, one of which is in critical condition.
It's devastating to think that multiple lives that we had dozens and dozens of years ahead are just gone.
Police identified that driver as Marianne Akers. She was the only person in the car and taken to the hospital for evaluation. Authorities say this does not appear to be a targeted attack.
Charges have been filed in connection to a deadly crash that happened earlier this year in Owensboro. Authorities say the wreck happened at the intersection of West 2nd Street and Ewing Road back in January. Owensboro police say multiple search warrants led to the charges of murder, meth trafficking, also DUI, and disregarding a traffic light for David Biggs. Police say Biggs crashed into the victim, Brian Bedwell, who was pronounced dead at the scene.
Mount Carmel Mayor Joe Judge is asking for the person who stole a beloved firefighter's ashes to return them. The stepdaughter of Glenn Markle Jr. says at some point in the last year, Glenn's home was broken into and his ashes were taken. Now, the stepdaughter is asking for all stolen items to be returned, no questions asked. You can simply drop the ashes off anonymously at the locations that you see there on your screen. New this morning, the city of Henderson will soon break ground on their newest fire station.
Yeah, officials say the facility is a major step forward in supporting first responders and enhancing public safety in the city. The new station, 1, will be located along 2nd Street. The groundbreaking will take place Tuesday, May 13th at 2 p.m., and all are invited to attend.
And the city of Owensboro and the Owensboro Fire Department invite you to a dedication ceremony tomorrow for the Walter Freeman Fire Training Center. Construction started in 2023. And officials say the state-of-the-art facility features a new classroom, training building, and live burn rooms. The fire department will also do a live training demo in the new tower. It takes place tomorrow morning at 10 a.m.
And now, Storm Team 44, powered by Bracket Heating, Air, and Plumbing.
All right, so we talked about our rain chances for today. Let's talk temperatures. Here's the hourly forecast for the next 12 hours. We are starting off in the low 60s this morning. We should get up to around the low 70s by noon today and top out at close to 80 degrees in most spots, with a mix of sun and clouds along with that chance for an isolated shower or storm this afternoon. Highs today, 81 in Evansville, lower 80s to even mid 80s in most of western Kentucky. But these will be the warmest days this is the warmest day that we have in the near term. Temperatures cooler this weekend. How much cooler? Up next.
Still ahead, the trial continues in Massachusetts for the woman accused of killing her boyfriend. What unfolded inside the courtroom on Tuesday?
President Trump back on familiar ground. I'm Jared Hill with his 100 Days rally in Michigan and how he's defending growing uncertainty about the economy.
Welcome back. President Trump traveled to Michigan Tuesday evening to mark 100 days in office, and the president touted his actions on immigration and the economy, two issues he campaigned heavily on.
Now, the president also downplayed concerns his trade war could hurt the economy. Jared Hill reports the latest this morning.
Hello, Michigan. 100 days in, President Donald Trump back in campaign mode, touting accomplishments in Michigan, which helped send him back to the White House.
In 100 days, we have delivered the most profound change in Washington in nearly 100 years.
The president played up what polls show as his strongest issue, immigration, even showing a propaganda video shot by the El Salvadorian government showing undocumented immigrants the administration has sent to a prison there.
We are delivering mass deportation, and it's happening very fast.
The president also defended his trade war, especially with China.
We're ending the greatest job theft in the history of the world.
Ahead of his trip to the car manufacturing hub, the president eased some tariffs on automakers, cutting the 25% tax on steel, aluminum, and other critical materials. Uncertainty sparked by his trade policies sent consumer confidence plummeting this month to its lowest level since the start of the COVID pandemic. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent.
President Trump creates what I would call strategic uncertainty in the negotiations.
In an interview with ABC News, the president downplayed concerns.
Everything's going to be just fine. It wouldn't have been if I didn't do this.
Reaction mixed in Michigan.
Yeah, it's going to hurt us a little bit now, but in the long run, it's going to be all American, buy American.
We feel like our country's being taken away by Donald Trump.
Continuing the president's promise to shrink the federal workforce, yesterday 400 scientists directed by Congress to study climate change were dismissed. Jared Hill, CBS News.
And the time 8:15. Turning to some of the other top headlines from across the country, jurors in Karen Reed's second murder trial listened as the defense attorney for the Massachusetts woman attempted to poke holes in testimony.
Reed is accused of killing her boyfriend. Her lawyer challenged a digital forensic specialist about location data on the victim's cell phone the night he died. The defense contends Boston police officer John O'Keefe was killed inside the home of a fellow police officer where he was attending a party.
Therefore, over the next few hours, according to your report, the phone of John O'Keefe could be in the house, correct?
Based on the low accuracy information, yes.
The answer is yes.
Yes.
A mistrial was declared in Reed's first trial last year. She is charged with second-degree murder, manslaughter, and leaving the scene in January of 2022.
The only black all-female unit to serve in Europe during World War II received a long-overdue recognition on Capitol Hill Tuesday. Congress awarded the 6888 the Congressional Gold Medal 80 years ago. The Central Postal Directory Battalion, nearly 900 strong, arrived in England to clear out a 3-year backlog of mail. In just 3 months, the women sorted some 17 million pieces, getting much-needed letters to soldiers on the front lines. And there are only 2 surviving members of the group. The medal was presented to the family of the unit commander, Lieutenant Colonel Charity Adams Early.
And it's been nearly a year since Ramona roller rink in Sister Lakes, Michigan burned to the ground during severe weather. Now the roller rink is making a major comeback. They broke ground just a month ago, and now there's a building with its roof and 2 walls complete. A lot of progress has been made. The plan is still to have the rink back up and rolling by September.
And severe weather rocked Pittsburgh late Tuesday night. Strong winds brought heavy rain and wind gusts of up to 70 miles per hour, downing trees and power lines. At one point, hundreds of thousands of homes across Pennsylvania were without power.
And now, Storm Team 44, powered by Bracket Heating, Air, and Plumbing.
All right, good morning, everybody. Off to a cooler and foggy start in most spots as the moisture left over from yesterday's storms, plus the colder temperatures means we got some fog developing out there. It's cloudy for sure in that Evansville West camera early this morning. Here are the temperatures as we head outside this morning. 62 in Tell City, lower 60s in Evansville as well. Middle 60s farther south in Madisonville and Central City. Farther north, it's in the mid and upper 50s as you get into eastern Illinois. Over across the Ohio River in western Kentucky, you've got some isolated showers that are starting to develop. We've got a bigger cluster of storms coming up from the southwest. Yesterday, those storms that came in, they were feisty, produced a lot of strong straight line winds, especially up towards Vincennes and up near Princeton. We had numerous reports of trees down with that cluster of storms that came through yesterday. And it also prompted a tornado warning over towards Wayne County near Fairfield. No confirmed tornado with that, but we did have some trees that were reported down with that batch of storms that rolled through yesterday. The storms that are coming through over the next couple of hours, they're not as strong, still producing a lot of heavy rain across most of southern Missouri and eastern Missouri, but the overall risk for severe storms for the rest of the day today with the storms that do come in is lower. It's a 1 out of 5 risk for today. Yesterday, it was a 2 to 3 out of 5, so lower overall. And I think the rain coverage for the most part is going to be a bit more isolated than yesterday. We had, scattered to widespread storms. Today, it's going to be just isolated storms, if anything. That being said, those storms that do develop have at least a small amount of tornado potential with them. On the Torcon or favorability for tornado conditions, it is a 2 out of 10 again for today. That's what it was for yesterday too. So let's time it out for you. On that futurecast, here come those isolated storms beginning to pop up at around 2 o'clock this afternoon, farther west towards Carmi and Harrisburg. That will migrate towards the northeast by the time we get to 4 and 5 o'clock up towards Jasper, up the I-69 corridor. Some showers and storms possible there. But the rain coverage for the most part, again, staying fairly isolated for today with just a few spots getting some heavier downpours. And that chance will likely dissipate by the time we get to around 9, 10 o'clock this evening. But we're not out of the woods as far as the rain goes just yet. Thursday looking pretty messy as well. Showers to start the day at around 4 a.m., continuing until we get to the noon hour. Still a couple of showers and storms possible there. It's going to be pretty messy for today and tomorrow for sure, with more wet weather on the way and winds staying out of the south. The good news is that temperatures will be cooler this weekend. That means the chance for storms will go down. There might be a couple of lingering showers here and there, but for the most part, a little bit calmer for the weekend as temperatures go down. Then we warm back up to the low and mid 70s by the start of next week. So here's how all that looks in your 7-day. 81 your high today in most spots. That's the warmest we're going to be for the next 7 days, as we see highs in the 70s Thursday and Friday with better storm and shower chances. Maybe a couple lingering showers Saturday morning, but temperatures cooler this weekend for sure. Highs in the middle 60s Saturday, Sunday.